Hey guys, LockyPocky Reviews back again, and I'm pretty much going to be doing the same thing that I did recently with Chip and Dale and Top Gun Maverick. I'm just going to be doing, two movies, one movie and a show, just kind of combined review. Which I don't know if there's something I don't do all the time necessarily. It just kind of depends. Because again, kind of like with Chip and Dale and Top Gun Maverick, I don't really have that much to say about either of these. So I just kind of want to just do like quick mini reviews, if anything, and just get like quick thoughts. So yeah. But with that said, I'll start off with the movie first, which is the most recent Jurassic Park sequel, Jurassic World Dominion. And before I talk about the new one, I'll just kind of give my quick thoughts on the other movies, which it shouldn't take long. But anyway, first Jurassic Park movie, I absolutely love. It's a Spielberg classic blockbuster. It has great, build up and suspense. It has a lot of really likable characters as well, even though they are kind of very simple, and very simple sort of one-note type personalities. They have played by really good actors that can kind of bring a little bit more to the performance, and a little bit more to make them really interesting. So that's great. And yeah, it's like when you think of like classic Spielberg blockbusters, like this is just one of the ones that comes to mind for me. So it's like, yeah, absolutely love it. Great movie, excellent movie even. And as for the sequels, like most people, I don't really care for them that much. I'd say if you ask me, like, I guess which one I like the most, um, it's probably a toss-up, I would say, between Lost World and Jurassic World. Um, I feel like honestly they're the only two that if you want to watch the sequels for whatever reason, they're probably the only two that I think are like worth watching. Because they do have a couple of things in those movies that I think are worth seeing. Particularly there's some really good scenes in Lost World, and some of the ideas in Jurassic World I think are legit interesting and do try to advance the story, but most of them just kind of repeat the story. They kind of just do the same thing over and over again, have, some human bad guy that they have to, that's doing, things that they can mess around with the dinosaurs and do something, but of course, they get their comeuppance, and the characters are always in some sort of island or jungle or something, walking around, and there's dinosaurs that are attacking them. It's just the same plot again and again and again. And, with occasionally one or two few changes, but it doesn't necessarily make them good movies. It's just like, oh, we'll throw in some other stuff. So, overall, I'm not going to talk about them individually, but just overall, they're just not that engaging and all good either. But the reason you're probably asking then, okay, well, why did you want to go and see this new one? Because you haven't liked any others. Well, the reason for that is because, first of all, this is the first Jurassic Park movie since the first one where the original cast, all of the original cast, were going to be back together. So not only were we going to have Sam Neill, and Laura Dern, but all because they're going to have Jeff Goldblum as well as the new cast and everything as well. Um, and that was, to me that felt like, okay, like this is like pretty big deal. This is there hasn't been another Jurassic Park movie where we've had those three, Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, and Ellie all together. So I was like, okay, like there has to be something, um, something here that will be interesting at least. So that was the first reason. And the second reason is because if you've seen the trailers for the movie, it very much is building up this idea of, the dinosaurs and humans, dinosaurs being out, like, ton of them being out in the real world, walking around, interacting with humans, all that sort of stuff. And we kind of got a little bit of that, I guess, in the climax of Lost World, a little bit, where it was just kind of like a goofy action scene or whatever. But this is, basically like humans and dinosaurs coexisting in a modern society. And I thought, okay, like this is gonna be like, we're gonna get like some sort of big B movie type thing where we have dinosaurs just running around, causing a wreck, humans running away, our heroes going in, doing cool stuff. And I thought, okay, like this may not necessarily be like a high art type movie. It's just gonna be fun entertainment, which is what I want to see. I guess, like, if you're gonna do Jurassic Park sequels, just go all out and do something big with them. And so that's what I was thinking this movie was gonna do, and looks like that from the trailers. And boy, oh boy, yeah, it definitely did not live up to that expectation whatsoever. Oh boy. I had heard a few things before I saw the movie, so I think when I was going in, I kind of knew, okay, like this isn't really gonna do what I wanted to do, but even with that bit of the knowledge I did have, I still ended up just kind of like, wow, that was really underwhelming. And And I guess I'll point out the few positives with this movie. There's not many, um, but there's two positives that I'll talk about. That I no there's two positives in this movie. The first positive is that there is one scene, in the middle of the movie, an action scene that was legit pretty good. And it's you've if you've seen the trailer, you might have seen it, but it's basically a scene where like Chris Pratt and all them, they're in this city, sort of. I think it was, oh god, Malta. They're in Malta, and they're sort of doing some stuff in there. And there's like this big action scene where he's on the bike and there's raptors running around, and then he does, goes in front of the turns, and there's like the dinosaur walking on the ground eating people, all that sort of stuff. And that was a legit, like, seeing that on the big screen was really cool. And some of the editing, I think, was a little bit like quick and fast, but you could mostly make out what was happening. Like, there were some good long shots and stuff, stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, could have been shot better, but for what it is, it's like the kind of thing that I was expecting to see in this movie. And the second thing is that we get, obviously, getting to see the original cast back together. Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum, has some, kind of offbeat, funny line deliveries, which I like kind of had a bit of a snicker at a little bit. And again, seeing Ellen Grant and Ellie Sattler like back together and stuff like that, and working with each other. It's not like in Jurassic Park 3 where he just kind of has that one little conversation, then he just goes off and she just stays at the house. It's like, no, they're going in together, doing stuff, and that was fun. And I like the exchanges, I like the interactions. So all of that stuff I do like, but every other element in this story is just such a mess. The plot, basically in the first few minutes, they basically say, this is not a spoiler, but basically the whole, when you think like dinosaurs, humans living together, you think, oh, it's going to be like chaos. Well, not really. It's the dinosaurs have apparently just secluded themselves to areas where there's no humans, like, in like national parks and stuff like that. I'm like, what? And then there's something about these locusts that are apparently destroying crops, and the movie suddenly is like, okay, we're gonna follow this, and then suddenly it turns into a spy movie where we've got like a meeting up at a black market deal for dinosaurs, and this is a sequel to Jurassic Park. Like, what? I just did not like a good first half of the movie. I was just thinking to myself, what am I even watching right now? Like this is not. Where is the the like everything that I love about Jurassic Park is just not here at all. It feels like a completely different movie. Like there's just no connection at all. Even some of the other sequels that I don't like, at least they at least try feel like at least they're trying to be Jurassic Park movies. Like, oh, we have the characters in sort of a locate on an island or something walking around. It's like, okay, well at least even if it's not done well, at least it feels like this is still the same series. But this just goes completely in different directions, and yeah, and so that doesn't make a lot of sense. And then, like I said, in the middle you get that one good scene. That's great. Okay, cool. And then in the second half is where it starts to go kind of more towards what I would say a Jurassic Park movie is like. But even then, it just drags on for so long, and the plot, like, there's so much exposition, so much talking about what they need to do, and it just gets so confusing and so overly complicated. And I don't know, this plot just jumps around so much. I literally I had to go home and read the Wikipedia article because I just felt like I didn't know how, like I just was not following a lot of what was going on some of the times. And there's also a lot of reveals and surprises and twists and stuff that just make things like make some really sort of dumb things. Um yeah, I can't really go into detail because it is a spoiler. Those are spoilers, but yeah, it's just everything that I just enjoyed about Jurassic Park, like the wonder and the suspense and the build up, is basically gone. I mean, the film itself isn't even really about the dinosaurs anymore. It's about the stupid locusts and about this Steve Jobs type guy who, like, is the guy like the guy that showed up was in the first Jurassic Park and just was having the little oh, he was with Wayne Knight and he was selling him the in the scene when they're in Costa Rica at the table and it's the other guy. I think it's Dodgerson's the name. He's now like the main villain in the movie, which is like what? So yeah, it's just man, I don't know. It's just such a mess of a movie, and like I said, there's occasionally some good moments. There's this really cool dinosaur that has, I just call it like the Wolverine dinosaur because it has like the Wolverine claws and it slashes at things. When that popped up for like the 2 minutes or 1 minute it was on the screen, that was cool. And like I said, the middle action thing was cool. Seeing the characters back was nice, but when you think about the plot and just the overall like like I said, the plot, the other characters that aren't the original cast, and a lot of the dialogue and just everything else about it is it's just so bad and just so not thought out properly. And if it's a complete, if it's doing something completely different to what the other movies are doing, where it doesn't even feel like a Jurassic Park movie, it then just goes back to doing the same crap again. And yeah, it's just like it just felt like nothing to me. I mean, even in the second half, they're saying like, just being like, oh yeah, like there's this dinosaur, blah 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 blah, and I didn't care. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I'm really excited to see this dinosaur, see this, thing. I'm just kind of like, it just felt like nothing. Like, oh, there's another dinosaur. Oh, there's another thing. Oh no, I'm really I don't care. I just don't give a crap. So yeah, this is just a very bad movie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much more to say than that. Overall, I'm going to give Jurassic World Dominion a 2 out of 10. So now I'm going to talk about the other, the show that I want to review, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Um, And yeah, obviously this is the Star Wars spin-off series, little mini series thing. And I don't have as much to say with this one, so this won't be very long. I'm hoping, but yeah, basic my thoughts on it. I'll start with some of the good things. First, obviously seeing, um, Ewan McGregor return from his as Obi-Wan Kenobi and all that, to returning to the role, was really really good to see. I think most people, even people that hate the prequels, do agree that Ewan McGregor was a really good choice for playing a young Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think this show does sort of really just reinforce that point even more so because he's genuinely a lot of fun in this. I really enjoyed the performance. I really enjoyed his character, and um, there's an arc that he goes through too in the show that I thought was pretty interesting. And it sort of ties into, where we sort of see him at the end of, Revenge of the Sith and the beginning of New Hope type thing, where you do kind of see how this is kind of pushing him more towards how he is in the original trilogy type thing, which I thought was really interesting. And yeah, like there's some really interesting drama with him and everything, which I thought was, with him and um, Anakin, which again, like I said, I thought was pretty good and really it was interesting. And and the other major thing I'll say is there's another new character called Reva, who's basically like the one of Vader's basically subordinates type thing. They call her third sister or whatever, is the name. Basically, she's, serving under him and trying to find Kenobi. And there's, again, kind of an interesting sort of revelation that's made towards the end of the series, where we find out about her past and how she became, Vader's kind of under Vader and everything like that, taken under by him. And I thought, again, kind of it ties back into the other movies in a way that I thought was quite clever and interesting. And again, she has kind of an interesting arc as well. So all of like the stuff with pretty much those two characters for the most part, I thought was pretty interesting and well done. But for me, the big issue I have with the show overall is really the main story. And basically, I don't know, it shouldn't be spoilers, but basically, this whole story is about Leia basically gets kidnapped, and Obi-Wan has to go and save her. That's about it. That's the story. You have Darth Vader come in chasing him and everything like that, but the whole plot basically just centers around that. And it's just not that interesting, and it's just it's bringing in elements from the other Star Wars movies, like obviously let's have Princess Leia, let's have Tatooine, let's have Luke, let's have Darth Vader come in, all these other characters we've seen so many goddamn times in these movies and shows that it's just like I don't want to see more crap like this because it just gets boring after a while. That's one of the reasons why I really liked Mandalorian, because it just felt like it was doing its own thing. It didn't feel like it was just another Star Wars property. It felt like its own unique thing. Obviously, it was still set in the Star Wars universe, don't get me wrong, but pretty much all of the characters in it were new. We had not seen them before. Yeah, and the worlds that they go to were different as well. And the overall feel of it was very much like a Western, which was something we hadn't. I mean, I guess you could say was kind of what the original trilogy tried to do, but this kind of went even further with it, like where it feels kind of like Cowboy Bebop almost as well, mixed with like a classic old spaghetti Western, like, and that was, I don't know, that just felt very fresh and new and different. And I'll even give, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Book of Boba Fett, that at least tried to kind of do the same thing, kind of have that westerny feel. And some of the stuff in it was legit pretty interesting. Most of it was just the two Mandalorian episodes, but like it still had The Cad Bane character shop, which was pretty cool. I don't know. I have a soft spot for it. I know a lot of other people don't like the show, but I personally am not as hating on it as many others do. But this just felt like just another Star Wars thing. Just like, oh yeah, just just basically just put this together and throws in other characters we've already seen before, and that's just kind of it. And it's just like whatever. I didn't hate it or anything. It's not an awful show or anything. It just felt kind of just average and like nothing really, aside from like I said, the stuff with Obi-Wan and Reva, everything else just felt very just generic and kind of dull as well. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like I said. It's not. It definitely is well made, and there are some cool fights and stuff like that. But again, I mean, you can see that in all the other movies and shows. Like it's not really anything that unique or different. Like the only episode that I say I genuinely thought was good was the first one, and that's because there's like we kind of see where Obi-Wan is after the events of the prequels, and I thought that was really interesting seeing him kind of going about his everyday to day life, trying to stay, you know, I guess away, staying, hidden and kind of, and he kind of has to go against his values in order to stay, in order to keep his identity a secret. He can't, he even though he wants to do, help people and do things, he has to just kind of accept what's happening. And I thought, like, there's scenes where there's, like, people that are getting beaten up or something like that, and he just has to kind of, he looks at it as if to say, like, I want to do something, but I can't, and he just walks away, and that is really interesting and effective. But then, towards the end of the episode, it's building up, oh, well, Leia's here. Okay, and then she gets captured, and then it's like, oh, Obi-Wan, come and... Jimmy Smits, whatever, comes up and it's like, yeah, you have to go and save her, and it's like, oh, come on. I don't want this. Ugh. So, yeah, it's fine, I suppose, as a show. Like, as, Star Wars properties go, it's definitely better than some of the other things that have come out, but there's a lot of other better stuff as well that it just kind of is just alright to me. Yeah, that's about it. Overall, I'm going to give Obi-Wan Kenobi a 5 out of 10. But yeah, I don't know. I guess before I end the video, I guess I just want to kind of give a little bit of a quick thing that, yeah, this year's been kind of a bit of a slow year for entertainment, I feel, because there hasn't really been that much that's come out that I've really gotten into. I feel like most of it I've seen has been either just kind of average or like, it's just been mostly kind of average, really. Obviously there's been some good stuff, don't get me wrong. But, it's been, like, especially the last couple months or so has just been kind of a slog. And, obviously, like, I mean, the Batman was great, and I literally got on DVD recently, so I'm really looking forward to watching that again. And Everything Everywhere All at Once is another one. I'm definitely going to see that again when it comes out on DVD. And another one I actually will give a quick recommendation to if you haven't seen it, if any of you haven't seen it, is the Project, which is on Netflix. I saw it recently, and that I thought was actually pretty good. It's, like I said, it's like better than most of what I've seen this year, so definitely recommend that one. But I don't know, other than those three, I guess I'll throw Doctor Strange 2 as well, because that was a bit of a fun, that was a fun movie. But other than those, yeah, this year has been kind of a slog, and I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about, I'm hoping that there's going to be some, like, more good stuff coming around. I know, like, Thor's coming out soon, which I'm really hoping to God is going to be good. I'm sure it will be, but I'm just like, please, 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 just be a really good movie, because I just need that right now. And I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to remember what else is coming out this year. There's a couple other things coming out later, but yeah. But the good news is that I do have a more positive review that'll be out soon. So keep an eye out for that, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.